obviously throughout the course of your 20 years, right, or over 20 years, I'm sure you've evolved a lot as a trainer. Now, where do you see the importance sit, and where in your career did you really start understanding some of like the actual quote unquote like science behind like learning theory and like, when you're using these e-collars, that it really isn't just as simple as just correct the dog and this, you know what I mean? Like I see a lot of trainers now, and especially with, Instagram and TikTok and how fast people are blowing up that are talking about using these tools in particular ways that I'll look at sometimes and I'm like, well, it's not like actually totally correct what you're saying there. And how much do you think that matters in the training process and in the education process?
Yeah. So so when I first got into dog training, like a lot of dog trainers, I was, I got a German Shepherd, and I literally didn't know anything about dog training. Like a lot of my clients, I think that's why I can relate a lot. I didn't come out of the womb training dogs. Yes, we had dogs. My family had dogs since I was a kid, but it's just like, I didn't do anything. I was in charge of poop, scooping poop, I wasn't in 4-H. I didn't have this, any skill set at all. So unfortunately I had a dog that ended up being human and dog aggressive. And one of the reasons was, number one, I didn't know how to stop it. But number two, I was going to training, but unfortunately they didn't believe in a philosophy of, stopping something. And I finally did find someone, and the first words out of my mouth as he was being lunged at was by this time by an almost full-grown German Shepherd, was, "You can say no to your dog, Jeff." And I'm like, that was the news. Like, you can? Like I didn't know this. I didn't know. Like a lot of clients don't know, you know? So he was old school yank and crank. And in a way, I'm glad I learned like that, because it does come in handy. It does come in handy. So I think probably for the first 3, 4, 5 years of my career, I was really good at getting dogs to do things. And I think there was a moment that I said, this is working out really great, but I want to get dogs to want to do things. And I think that was the click. When it happened, I'm not sure. I think people would be surprised at how much quote unquote positive reinforcement we do, which is probably over 90%, and how much food we use and how much reward-based training we use. But I think because people know us from social media, people on my podcast, they don't ask me how to do a downstay. They like, how do I stop? How do I stop? How do I stop? So we give them step one because nobody's talking about step one. Step two is, it's all the reward-based stuff now, but be ready to, like, because we get dogs in that are like 2.5 weeks into a boarding train and they're rocking it, and just out of the blue, they'll lunge at your face. So you always got to have that skill set of knowing you need to be able to go from a split second, you're not going to do that, to cool, we're all set. Now let's go back to training again. So I think it's really, really important that you give a dog both sides of the coin. And so then I started just, on my own, researching, figuring out, trying. I've learned a lot through trial and error, making mistakes, nothing ever horrific, thank God. But I think that's a great way to learn. There's a lot of things in my life I've learned through just doing it wrong, because I don't like looking at it as a failure. It's just like, well, I guess that's not the way to do it. Or at least with this dog. So I started experimenting with a lot of different things, and then with the different dogs we use, you probably see this. I mean, I like probably over 90% of the training is pretty much, paintbrush stroke. It keeps step one, step two, step three. But then there's always, and we're seeing them more and more now, there's so much troubleshooting. There's so many nuances that you need to be really, really creative. So having as many different skill sets as possible, I think, is really, really important. And then also explaining to owners, that's another reason why we show dogs going through the messy middle of dog training. Number one, a lot of them come in just nervous wrecks, nervous, fearful, anxious wrecks, but even a lot of dogs that come in, quote unquote, confident. I'm like, well, that's like saying a bully is confident, and a bully is not confident. The bully has low self-esteem, low self-worth. And, we don't punch dogs in the face, but the first time a bully gets punched in the face, it gets revealed, you know?
Sure.
So I think it's important that we show the messy middle, because if we really want to serve the client right, they're going to see the messy middle too. But we want them to know when you go through the stages, you're going to end up with a pretty damn awesome dog.
Yeah.
But if you try to avoid the messy middle, you're going to always most likely be struggling. And we don't want that. We want to be more honest with that. And I don't want to say maybe unfortunately, but not, because whenever I get negativity thrown at me, I usually double down on it.
Sure.
It's like, you're not going to stop me. It's like, you're just not, you know, and I've had, trust me, I've got a lot thrown at me. And I just think it's important that we're transparent, because if you just show a dog going from badly behaved to well-behaved, I think it's some like massive skill set, and there is skill, obviously, we all have skill set, but it's not rocket science. You know, I'm not a competition dog trainer. I don't do sport dog. I don't do working dog. I don't do tracking. I don't do, you know, I'm a family pet dog trainer. And I firmly believe that even a highly aggressive dog can still do a 3-hour downstay at Starbucks while you're outside working on your computer. Now, you might want to muzzle it up, maybe, or you just got to be really proactive. It like, no, can't pet my dog. Nope, keep your dog away from mine. But I mean, there's no reason why just about any dog can't have good behavior. The level of training, that's always going to be up and down, just like the intelligence of a human being.